relevant is my life being, in what they refer to as the Gospels. That people have written down the events of my life in the past because it's very important, and then people tried to manipulate it and turn it into mythology and fantasy to feel powerful. And so, what's important is the truth and the importance and the faith of my life, and how the technology is able to understand what's happening, the evidence of it. So, because truth is evident, lies obvious, right? So, money's not real. So, philanthropy will eventually have to go extinct, and they'll have to stop building, all these, well, to break down the quark to the quark to torch to quark dick, and that's going to go extinct. Okay. When you understand how things work, and that you need them to work properly in order to live, your irrationality has to go extinct, or it's Shakespeare's The Tempest, right? So I'm good. If Kirk Cameron and his son are watching these and they're treating me the same way Elijah and Lawrence do, um, they're under the same duress and the same brain damage of Elijah and Lawrence, and they feel they need money to live, and they don't have faith in God, and they don't trust the Lord, that the Lord is an eternal spirit of a living being, Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. It's based on science, molecular, genetic molecular similitudes, or transfiguratory molecular structures, symbiotic relationships that are similar. That's why they tried the Holocaust. Hitler killed Herschel Steinschneider, who is a relative most likely of my grandmother, which means Hitler was related to, yeah, that's bad. But you guys got to understand, you get all that, you're related to him? Yeah, I'm German. But the thing about it is this, guys, you're related to people that threw babies to crocodiles. If you're from Egypt, you're related to, do you understand? You're related to people that shot people execution style in a soccer stadium in Rwanda. You're related to people that sold people into slavery into the United States, and when they came back to Africa, called them cotton pick or go home. Okay? You're related to people that invent brothels and sell people drugs and invade their houses and give them drugs to gain sexual access to them. I mean, I'm related to these people, all things being relative. The tiger and the lion should be friends. Tigons and ligers, right? It's a magical creature. So, do you understand? I like my boy Alan. I said, we're all Anglo-Saxon. I'm not going to say you can hold your breath until you die, Alan. It's not going to take away the fact that you're Anglo-Saxon. Okay? I can sit there and say, I am not a white person in the United States of America right now. And that's not going to make me a black person in the middle of Uganda by wishing it so, right? It's just crazy, right? So don't think like that. Just because you're angry, because your mom couldn't outrun William Longshanks, your great grandma couldn't outrun William Longshanks. Maybe she wanted to have William Longshanks with William Longshanks' grandson because he was more charming and more attractive. Okay. Maybe some of your relatives were just assholes and people ran them off, and then they weren't as attractive because they couldn't live as in nicer places. Did you guys ever sit and think about that? I spoke to recently with Max and Emmy's mom, right? We've talked about this kind of stuff lots of times, but you guys aren't paying attention. Kind of like Miriam with Tito, and when I broke up the law. Okay, and then she said she was never going to let the good guy go away again, and she married a guy who kills people for the government for a paycheck and didn't get out. They had daughters, 2 or 3 daughters. Boys keep chasing girls to get a kiss. The grocery store's a supermart, and the beat goes on. Beat goes on. Dark lady laughed and danced and lit the candles one by one. When you smelt the stuff and perfume in your own room, you just sit there and say, you walk in and go, okay, well, I'm blowing this popsicle stand. You don't have to shoot Dark Lady. You don't have to be like Dad, that George's son was. I understand. I wanted to do that with Amy because she was trying to get my kids taken away and given to the state so she could go screw around with the assholes that murder people at Fort Huachuca and not be financially burdened to interrupt her lifestyle fucking around with the assholes at Fort Huachuca. That makes you very violently angry. I understand that. Okay, I've been in those situations, but I also understand Amy had been Stockholm Syndrome, and she used to tell me she sat there when she was having sex with the assholes at Fort Huachuca and told me, we have to commit suicide because this planet is a prison and the only way off is death. And I'm like, that's not true. If you look at molecular structures, genetic molecular similitudes, there's going to be a little person born like maybe possibly Natalie, Noah, Kate, or Emily, the sweet Emily, Blissy Blim, and they're going to inherit the same problems and issues that these kids have because we're not standing up for faith in the glory of God and the perfection of the applied physics of the Lord's Prayer. You've been talking to those guys online that are sexually hitting on you that are supposed to be Muslims. And then tell me, hey, mister, you're out of line just because you can't control your wife. Yes, Mr. Friend Finder. Yeah. Okay, you're a Muslim and you go online to meet women to have sex with in Cochise County while their husbands are on maneuvers. And you're a good Muslim. Oh, man, I could see Ali and Muhammad doing that all the time. Your husband's out killing people for money? You want me to come over and have sex with you on his bed? Well, how Islam of me? Oh, Islamabad. Oh, boy, I can't wait. I'm excited. I am coming to fuck you because he's an infidel and I am a righteous, holy man. I am the Rose of Mecca. You got to plant your seed everywhere, huh? Oh, trust me. Rockefeller knows what he's doing with all of you assholes. And he already gone and did that thing done all right. And I caught you with your backfield in motion. Gonna have to get a CPOD. You gonna be able to climb those stairs? Okay, forgive debt and trespass, love one another, okay, for peace. Park your cars, bars, and wars, and you won't be pretending you're sitting on a park bench having trouble breathing. When CPOD flares up, it's probably because we have a drop in barometric pressure and people are stimulating the economy to buy their Christmas presents on time or ship them to get them there on time because the great father of China says so. Sun Yat-sen says, sod off, you little fucking ugly bastard. You're ugly, not just by the way you look, but by what you do. It just so happens that you're a double threat on that one. Probably a triple threat. He's also quadruple threat. I don't know how many threats he thinks he is. He's an asshole. Oh, XI? Somebody dial IXII. Like, what was it? VIP? Plope VIP? Or what was it? A VI? No, it was VI. What is this thing again? XIV. That's XIV. Pope Leo XIV. The XIV. You don't need an IV? It's with XIV. We don't need an IV. No IV. No IV. Why? Because we can breathe now because we're living the Lord's Prayer. Maybe he'll deliver himself from evil. Maybe he can have help from Sheriff Country. Oh, Edgar Allan Poe, help us. You guys do know that's why they're called the Ravens, right? That's because Edgar Allan Poe. You guys know who Edgar Allan Poe is? My mom was into classic literature. Okay, so that's why she had me meet Marcus Aurelius and Lucretius and Aristotle and Plato and Socrates. But it wasn't Socrates. It was Plato writing down what he thought Socrates was saying. That's what Mother told me. No, Socrates didn't write this stuff down. Plato wrote this down. The story called Socrates about Socrates and what's happening to Socrates is written by Plato. And I said, well, Mom, that's why, because I was sitting there like a kid thinking, this is like, he's one of the smartest guys I've ever known. And my hypocrite parents are killing him because they want to keep staying in business. And he says you should end business. Yeah, that's what Socrates was saying. He was saying that your ambition will destroy you and your children. So you have to eliminate ambition to be better than one another, that you can help learn from one another what to do as well as what not to do. Kind of a lot like, the Stoicism in the Bible, Marcus Aurelius and Lucretius. There you go. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. You think Lucretius might have had an understanding of that? Do you understand? Okay. Well, the Bills just pulled ahead. The Bills were always because they had a rental James Simpson and he was a cancer. He was one of my favorite players. Not to mention I love the buffalo on the helmet, right? And just the name Buffalo, right? Your heart is beating like a buffalo, Thunderheart. Go to the stronghold, right? So I've always liked the Chiefs. And my favorite uniforms were the Redskins. The Chiefs, no, not anymore. Washington Commanders. You couldn't obey a command if he kicked you in the dick that you think is God's gift to women, for all the women that need a big bag of money to fuck for 15 years. Washington Commanders, my ass. Yep. So Redskins, here's to the Redskins. I thought how some people could see that as offensive, but then they said that it's tradition from a people that called themselves that. So, if some people find it offensive, it's like they don't find it offensive. Okay, money ain't real, so fuck off. We like it. We like our chants. We like the Osceola thing before the football game. It's fun. And my thing is I want these kids to still have an outlet to exercise and have fun, because it's part of their DNA. Okay, but we have to teach them how to do it correctly. We're not here to hurt one another. We're here to share the love of life with one another and go home and love our families after we do this, instead of raping, looting, and pillaging, right? Like I said at ASU, the Women's Studies Department, is now there will be cussing and there will be blood. Okay, so I told there could be blood and there might be cussing. But it's just dad working on the truck, Mom. That's all it is. It's just dad working on the truck, kids. I'm going to take this thing, and I'm going to drive it off Castle Mountain, and I'm going to watch it fall off, and I'm going to watch it catch fire, and I'm going to dance a jig all the way back home. I'm with you, Dad. Let's go. It's a little too cold, but maybe we could get warm by the fire of the International pickup truck. I hated that truck. I was we've heard this story 100 times. I was like about 5'9", about 135 pounds, right? And Dad goes, go ahead and drive down the road from Lordsburg to Animas, that turnoff. Go ahead and just drive down this. And it's okay. And I'm going, and there's a fucking cow in the middle of the road about 10 miles down. And I'm like, honk, and the cow just sits there, right? I'm like, shit. So I'm trying to hit the brakes and put the clutch and just hit the brakes, right? Dad's all gear down and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm just thinking to myself, it's not as good on the brakes if it's better to gear down. Yeah, I understand that, but it's a cow and I'm just learning to drive. Let's stop. So he's sitting there telling me to do that. Finally, stalled the truck and boom. And then I didn't have the seatbelt on because it was a long time ago, and I slid down into the floorboard thing, And what I wanted to say, I just wanted to make sure that I stepped on everything right and got it stopped. I lift up over the thing and he's yelling. He drove all the way into Linda's. And I'm sitting there, and even after we stopped, that cow is still standing in the middle of the road when I look up over the dash. I'm like, gosh, damn. Cash cows, huh? See why Moses got so mad when he went up on Mount Sinai? Or no, it was Mount Zion. Was it Zion or Sinai? It doesn't really matter. It's not that important to me. You should know. First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is, I think it's Sinai. Zion was where he was with his Zipporah, before he had to go back and save people from being mass murdered and then migrate them to where they used to live, where his ancestors came from. Zion was where he met his wife, and the eternal spirit of the Lord told him, hey, you got to go back and save your family, because their faith will be the constant light of sustaining us to keep away from idolatry. And he's like, but I like it here. I got my Zipporah. I rub like cocoa butter stuff on her legs, and she shimmies she won't screw around like the women in Egypt and tell me, oh, buy me slaves and build things my honors, and no, you can't, oh, that woman's a bitch, and my kids are better than hers. Her kids are dogs, and my kids are people. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. See why he didn't go back out Ann Baxter and he went for Yvonne DiCarlo? Anybody in their right mind would go for Yvonne DiCarlo instead of Ann Baxter. Seriously. Her kids are dogs and my kids are human beings. You want to have sex with her? What do you want to do from her? I want her to live somewhere far away from me, and she can talk about the Bonnie Bygone days and say, artificial general intelligence, is your virtual presence making sure we're all safe listening to Ann Baxter talk? Thank you. Okay. Where are you going? I'm going off with Yvonne DiCarlo. All those stories about him being alone and stuff like that. That's just stuff they make up. Like the stuff with, what was his name? Alan Watts, a spiritual person has better off alone and blah, 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 blah. Once you understand spirituality, you're better off alone. It's like, that's not true. Because that's the same shit that the monks say. Zen Buddhist, and where we can see how they're all making sure that we're free from extortion and exploitation there. and living like that one guy's video. I didn't remark on it. He said, the world is bad because you're paying attention. It's like, yeah, if you don't pay attention, you don't realize right from wrong, good from bad, and truth from lie. And so you just live in your lie. I'm in nirvana. Nothing's going to disturb my namaste. Nothing's going to disturb my inner peace. Okay, those children are all being mass murdered because you participate in economics. You still participating in economics? You have to, because if you don't, you can't live here and have make a video on a device for money. First there is look upon my garden gate, a snail, that's what it is. Look upon a, Is she breathing? Yes, very low. What you doing, Jennifer, my love? Jennifer Juniper. Emmys are good daughters, aren't they? They're the best daughters. They're so emotional and sweet, and they don't like people to be abused. I love Emmys. I do. Was Patrick's Emmy that way? I don't know. We only talked once, and she was just excited about her ring. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was all we talked. What excites me? Living the Lord's Prayer. If somebody's excited about that, they're the best daughters in the world.